listening to Marty in the Morning on 96 to 99 RTE Lyricfm.
That's the important thing when technology lets you down. It's one thing when you're alone in the room and no one cares. But when Maeve is in front of you and she says, look at you,
I'm shocked and appalled.
You must be appalled at my complete lack of ability with the knobs and all the stuff I have to play with. How are you? Good morning to you.
I'm very well, thank you.
And welcome in, firstly. Secondly, thank you for this fantastic CD.
Oh, thanks a million. I'm glad you like it.
Which we really do like. The Calling.
Yes.
Which we had, as Marty recommends, a few weeks ago. It's divine. It's just divine.
Oh, thank
and
you.
It's. I suppose it's like we all get bombarded with stuff. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be like because you're never sure. I was looking at the track listing. I was going, hang on, I know that. Oh, I know that. You know, you're attempting.
There's a few you'd know, and there's a few curveballs in there as well.
For sure, but some of the tracks that you picked on the CD are tracks that we know.
Yes.
That we know well, and that can be quite scary because you're taking a bit of a risk.
Absolutely.
Playing with them.
It's a risky business.
You're obviously scared of nobody.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I suppose you want to pick music that you really enjoy singing, and
sure.
Even if it means, yes, you're going to put your version up against someone else's, which is a risk. You know, you have to do it if they're songs that really speak to you. You know.
Sure, for sure. But then you're not afraid because, as a fellow said, you've been out before.
Well, that should make you more afraid instead of less so sometimes.
Do you think so, though? Why do you think that?
Well, I don't really. I suppose it's just that the longer you're doing it, I suppose the more you realise what's entailed. And I was probably more fearless when I started in terms of singing really high classical repertoire. But
sure.
This is a different type of scene, I suppose, go back to re-explore more folky type of
sure,
material.
and songs you clearly love.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, when you're out there, be it Celtic Woman or a Nuna and all these things that you've done, they were all very high profile. But maybe because you were part of a gang, it was. I can be with the lads and it's okay.
Yeah, but it's true. I heard the Eagles on a documentary recently, and they were just saying, like, although they're maybe not the best example because they were all infighting like mad, but they were saying when you celebrate your highs as a group, but your lows as well. So it does mean you have that support around you.
Right.
Whereas when you go on your own, I suppose you are more exposed, but it does mean then you can completely choose what you're doing and surround yourself with, fantastic musicians and old friends and try out new things. You have that freedom.
And the good thing, unlike the Eagles, who happen to be happily, in your case, on the same record label, the good thing about the Eagles is they can fall out. You can't fall out. You just get out there and you do the best you can. I've fallen out myself a few times, I can tell you. I want to pick a track before we go any further.
Sure.
I love your version of Shenandoah, which I'm saving for a bit.
Okay.
We do The Calling because you're involved in the writing of this, aren't you?
That's right, yeah.
Wouldn't The Calling be good?
Go for it.
Which happens to be, funnily enough, the name of the album. It's all linked, you see. It's all linked.
I can hear
that? Would you say Enya's gone mad out in the castle? I'd say she
probably
is.
doing all right. I'd say she's not too worried.
I'd say she's out there saying, "Who's that?" That's the calling from MEAV. That's gorgeous. I just think it's wonderful.
Thanks.
And it just sits.
When do I get my castle? That's the question.
That'll come. You have to talk to Warner Music about that. But it is interesting because I was saying to you while we were listening to that what you've done is fantastic because it fits in very nicely. There are certain people who can do the crossover thing and go through various genres. Catherine Jenkins is there, Laura Wright is there, Helly Westerner is there. You're very comfortable in that mix, I take it.
Well, I suppose I was interested always in classical music and in trad, so I suppose that's where the two meet in a way. So that always felt like home for me, and my schooling was very traditional Irish, and then at home we did a lot of classical music. So the two come together, I suppose, in this.
Do you still sing classical music?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I guess sometimes with the National Chamber Choir, who were my old colleagues. So I did a summer Baroque festival with them this summer.
So you're still doing that?
I do, and I sing some church music as well in Clarendon Street. I do plain chant and cantoring and that kind of thing. So it's good to stop your sight reading from getting too rusty.
And you can get your people then to sell the CD.
Oh, well, I hope so.
Here's some of my work committed to tape, as the fellow said, which is lovely. Yeah, we were listening to that, The Calling, the title track, and talking about Craig Leon, the producer.
Yes.
Who has a bit of a history in the crossover world and the opera world and all of that.
Yeah, he's worked in so many different genres, and I had my eye on him for a while, so it was great to get to work with him. But he's worked with everybody. He worked with the Ramones back in the day. He's worked with Talking Heads, and then later on he worked with Pavarotti, with Ennio Morricone, and with unbelievable names. So
and can I ask how that happens that you end up with Craig Leon with you?
Yeah, well, I was supposed to be involved with a project, just a one-song project with him, which is a kind of space project, but wacky as these things can sometimes be.
A space project?
Yeah, it was through NASA. NASA were doing some cultural events, and they wanted to broaden their image, I suppose, beyond the scientific. And it was kind of a movie soundtrack, and there was a program for PBS made which incorporated sounds from space with songs with a space connection. So they asked me to sing Don McLean's Vincent, Starry, Starry Night.
Starry, Starry Night.
And so they said, would you come to Abbey Road and sing it? And I said, don't mind if I do.
Sure, look, can I go across the pedestrian crossing on the way?
Yes, have my little pose on the crossing. So that was the first time I met him, was producing that song. And again, you go into the room, and it's the room where Maria Callas recorded, and just like all these amazing pictures on the walls. Could be very intimidating. So of course I went in and sang I oversang, thinking I have to prove myself. And he's like, just relax, and so nice, and we found a way of doing it that was much more natural, and we really hit it off.
Isn't that lovely?
So then we decided to do some more work together.
Because it can be a little intimidating, I expect, to be in the company of people like that.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly looking at Craig's biog, you think, this guy must be very intimidating, but he's actually a really lovely guy.
I suppose at the back of it all, he's trying to get the best out of you, because that's his job.
Yeah, and he still enjoys the whole process of creating, and so we work together on songwriting as well, and his wife is a singer, and she has some great ideas, and just great company, and love a great glass of wine as well. So
really?
Yes, that always eases things. But not in the recording process, but afterwards it's very pleasant.
It's a great mark. It's a great mark. I mentioned Shannon Daw and your version of it. He arranged this.
Yes, he did. And he has this knack of knowing how voices will work, and how to. And what I love is that the voices kind of cross over each other in this version. So it's me on all three lines, but they kind of overlap each other.
Right.
And yet it's very simple. And we wanted to use some traditional instruments on it. So we have the great John O'Brien, who's a lovely piper, and well, in this case, he's playing low whistles. So it was nice to use that element.
This is going to be a devil to reproduce live when you're in your stadium tour.
Yes. Well, I have great singing friends, so maybe they can come along with me.
Anyway, this is Shannon Daw from the album. The album is called The Calling from MEAV. Your second name, by the way, it's Oscadia.
That's right. Níl Caha is my second name.
Couldn't fit it on the CD, you see.
That's all right.
Rolling river
Shenandoah. Can hear Jimmy Stewart in the background there almost. That's lovely. That's lovely. And again, while that was playing, we were just saying to each other, there are other versions. We love Van's version. We love Bryn Terfell's version. Yeah. And there's your take. That's gorgeous again. Nice arrangement.
Thank you.
Nice arrangement, just the way that it's all put together there. Yeah. Now, taking this on tour, taking this to a live setting,
yes,
is presumably important. With all the other things you do, that's one thing. You're not afraid of live because you've done it a million times. So what do you do with this? How do you take this out?
Well, one of the things that we were thinking about when we made the album was that I did want to be able to reproduce it live. So it's quite simple, although there are layered vocals, as you said, you know, something like The Calling. The band we use is very, very simple. It's mostly bass, guitar, percussion, and then you do have your layered vocals and a couple of other instruments. So, you know, I normally travel with 3 or 4 musicians, and they work very hard.
Of course.
I work them very hard, and they all sing BVs and, you know, fill out the vocal sound as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way we plan to do it. And I have a gig coming up with this one on the 23rd of October in the Sugar Club. So that should be fun.
And is that like a showcase? Is that like
well, it's a showcase in that we will do material from the album. But
sure.
It'll be a full gig as well.
And do people who know your work still expect you to do, I don't know, a bit of an Una, a bit of Celtic Woman, a bit of...
Well, I suppose there's some material that I covered, particularly in Celtic Woman, that I would still sing, but we do them in a different kind of a way, I suppose, because we won't be bringing a full orchestra and all that kind of thing on the road with us.
Sure.
But yeah, there's certainly, I would cover some other material as well.
The interesting thing about you, Maeve, well, there's many interesting things about you. One of them is the fact that you could be a lawyer now. You could be representing people and making a fortune up in the forecourt.
I did study law, all right. But partly because my brother had studied it before me, and saw him having a great time in college. He had lots of spare time, which of course he's supposed to spend in the library, but that's up to yourself. You can spend it, you know, doing gigs instead, which is what I did.
But you were doing this anyway, weren't you? You were singing anyway.
I was, yeah. I was doing the two alongside each other.
And it was, as well as that, it was in you. There was no way you were going to be able to not express this.
To let it out.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose so. I mean, at the time as well, because I mean, although I loved classical music, I didn't have a big operatic voice, and I didn't really realise that there could be a world of music, a career in music for me. So I thought it would be a hobby that I enjoyed, but it was over time then that it just took over, and lots of, you know, one gig followed another, and I thought, actually, do you know what?
Yeah.
I am going to do this.
It's such a nice way to live.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the Nuna, with all that, you travel the world. You were touring concert orchestra and everything.
Yeah,
you know.
I do remember going in first year in college and having to ask my tutor if I could have an extension because I had a piano. was doing a piano diploma and a harp diploma the same week, and I went in fear and trembling, knocking on his door. And he was very nice about it, I have to say. So it's the only time the two nearly clashed.
Literally clashed. They're fantastic. Now, when you were choosing the tracks we played Shenandoah, and obviously we played a new one. There's an old one I want to play, which is just one of my favourites, and I love again what you've done to it. And Black is the colour is in there as well.
Yeah.
The first time ever I saw your face, when you decide the tracks that you pick, it's so important because you know that you're coming into a market now that's just saturated with all sorts of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And yet you've got to break through. You've got to, you know, get out there and sell what you do. That first track on the CD was vitally important.
Well, it's hard to choose what should go first, and I mean, a song like that, I always loved Roberta Flack's version of The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, but I suppose it's not so well known that it actually comes from more of a folky background, really, that it's a Ewan MacColl song, and so, you know, that he wrote for Peggy Seeger, so there's lots of different ways of approaching it, and I wanted to keep some of the folky feel and yet have the kind of drama of when it opens out, you know, to hold on to both of those two things. So that's what we were trying to do with it. And again, a song the lyrics are so beautiful. I just wanted to give it a go.
Isn't it? It really is. We wish you the very best. It's so fantastic to have you in here today. It really is. And the minute we got the CD, there was some harassment from the record company, as will often happen.
I hope so.
But nothing untoward, just
gentle harassment.
Yeah, cause at the middle of the night and that kind. But it is interesting that you know, here is an album ready-made for the market, ready-made for this word, and it's trying to push it out there now because record stores are closing, people aren't going into shops like they used to, and yet the music is absolutely divine. And from once we played it that week, people were on saying, where can we get it, what is it, what is it? So, you know, there is an interest. Yeah, but it means there's an interest already.
Yeah.
Which is a very good sign. So listen, we wish you the best.
Thanks a million.
This is The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, as you say, Ewan MacColl song, which people forget.
Yeah.
Which people forget. And it's MEAV. And if you want to know how to spell it, it's MEAV. There's no father, I say.
There's no father. Well, just with the caps we decided not to go for the father, but I'll accept accept a fada if you wish to.
Will you accept a fada?
Yes,
well, on behalf of
fan mail
Lyric
with fadas, I'll take it.
let me send you this and enjoy.
Thanks.
Maeve, thank you so much for joining us today. A pleasure.
The first time ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and the stars were the gifts you gave to the dark and the empty skies. The first time ever I kissed your mouth, I felt the earth move in my hand, like the trembling heart of a captive bird that was there at my command. The first time ever I lay with you, and felt your heart so close to mine, and I knew joy it would fill the earth and last till the end of time, my love. The first time ever I saw your face.
Maeve, the album called The Calling, and the first time ever I saw your face. Isn't that gorgeous? That was a Marty Recommends, and just love it. Anyway, what a great guest. And we wish you the very best. And a reminder, if you want to see her live, 23rd of October at the Sugar Club. But the album is The Calling, and it's MEAV. Now, musically speaking, this morning we mentioned